The video you selected is part of a class which is available on udemy.com, thinkific.com, and teachable.com. Coupons for these courses are available through our channel and website. To receive the coupon, click on studentsuccessspace.com below, and if you right-click on the studentsuccessspace.com, a pop-up window will open, giving you the opportunity to open the link in a new tab. On the channel page, click the About button on the far right of the menu. This will open a page which tells a little more about our channel. Scrolling below the description are direct links to our classes, or you can access coupons through the Courses and Publications link. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out our newest publications on Amazon.com, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Student Success Space. A valuable part of a learning journal is being able to set, create, and record learning goals. Have you ever set a learning goal? Well, what are they, and what do they look like? On a Monday morning while getting breakfast, instead of the normal chatter of where is this or where is that, we talk about our learning goals for the week. If it isn't completed, guess what? It's okay. This process doesn't have to be complicated, but it does require that each person really think about what they want and where they're going and what they want to learn that week. This week, I'll show you what the conversation looked like. What is your learning goal for this week, Colin? I want to have a 92% in all of my classes. Wow, that's a hefty goal. How are you going to reach that goal? He replies, I'm going to do all my work, read my textbooks, and check my answers. Great job. Now, Colin is capable of making a 92% in all of his classes during the coming week, and I know that this will be an achievable goal, but also one that will make him stretch, as he will need to actually concentrate and not be learning lazy, which is our term for simply not completing our lessons on time. That would describe this boy. Another conversation with our daughter. What is your learning goal for this week, sweetheart? I am going to be first chair baritone in band. Again, this is an acceptable goal for her. She can achieve this goal, but she'll need to stretch as she has 2 other baritone players. I'm sure the question is, what about academics for Catherine? And it is a great question if you wanted to ask me. Although she has been wonderful and she tends to have over 100% in each of her classes. She's very academically gifted. She also knows that she has to set her own goals when it comes to learning something new because school comes so easily for her. So let's go back to our goal conversation. Do you have other learning goals this week, Catherine? I do. I'm going to read my What If book with Colin every day. I'm really excited about it. It's a great book, Mom, and I'm learning some really cool science stuff. Our conversation went further, but this was also a great goal for Catherine. We didn't set a page limit. Instead, she set a time goal. She's going to read for 30 minutes a day with her brother. And they don't usually read together, but this book is in such great demand between the two of them that they made an agreement to just read it together so they wouldn't argue over the book. I have a firm belief in teaching by example, and I quickly shared my learning goals for the week as well. Now, I'm only going to share some of them, but my goals were to finish reading The Startup of You. It's a career savvy book, which I was using to prepare some presentations for work. Learn how to make a peach pie from scratch. Why? Because I want to be a little more homemaker. I know. Finish the curriculum writing I was working on, and I also wanted to create a new recording methodology. At the end of the week, there's a reward. Each Monday, we choose what will be the reward for that week. Last week, we made a trip to Barnes & Noble's. This week, we're going to try out a new donut shop, and we vary our rewards. A few weeks ago, we rented a red box. We've done miniature golf, frozen yogurt, park trips, visiting aunts and uncles, tickets to the community center plays, etc. And this may seem like a lot of work, and it can be, but it doesn't have to be. As I stated, I work full-time, I manage a website, and I have family and church responsibilities, but it can still be balanced. Why? Because it's a priority. Education is a priority in our lives. And I also remind myself that I'm at the very end of raising children. We have the last 2 of our 6 children living with us. One day they will all be gone and moved out, and I will wish I had prioritized more time with them. My learning goals are prioritized as well, and they're noted in my learning journal. I keep them visible. I want to be able to see them consistently. I want to ensure that I stretch my intellect because the purpose of it all is to learn, right? How can learning be monitored? This is a wonderful question, isn't it? Sometimes my learning is marked by time. I want to study X amount for 30 minutes, or I want to learn how to X. I may even create a list of sources. Other times, I want to simply feel confident in my newly acquired knowledge. Once I figure out what I want to learn and how it will be monitored, I set up times to evaluate the progress. Time limit is the easiest option for me. Other times I may create a checklist of my sources. As I complete them, I check them off. The most important piece is simplicity, having a completion timetable. I always have a time to complete my goal. This is essential or my goal doesn't happen. When I opt to make benches for my farmhouse table, the end goal was that it must be completed by the time my husband returned from a business trip. Why? Because I wanted to do something special for him and I wanted to challenge myself without leaning on his knowledge. Whatever option you choose, make sure you set the goal, set the due date, monitor it, and reach for the learning goal. What if you don't meet the learning goal? And that is hard. I'm hardest on myself more than anybody, and I beat myself up repeatedly for not reaching a goal. But the end result is always the same. Whether you wait to forgive yourself or you simply do it immediately, forgive, forget, and move forward to another goal. In an experiential learning event, I wanted to learn how to build benches to go to my farmhouse kitchen table. I didn't set a time limit on how long I'd investigate it. I didn't even set an amount of resources to study. Instead, my learning goal was to learn about it until I felt confident that I could build one. After several days of reading online and reading sources and websites and even a trip to the home improvement store to pick the mind of an employee, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted it to be inexpensive, and therefore I chose to use 2x4s. I knew if I made an error, I would not be devastated about destroying a good piece of work. I also knew that I often have small children in my home, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews, which means that we get accidents and sticky fingers. This knowledge quickly formed many of my decisions. The experience was incomparable to anything I'd tried prior, simply because I'd never worked on anything like it before. I've never worked on wood. I had never really used power tools. I even owned a limited number of power tools. I had to buy some before I could start my project. There were a few tools I simply couldn't afford, and I pondered, how could I do the project without the tools recommended by the experts? In this reflection moment, I came up with several ideas that worked just as well and had the same amount of effort. Although I will tell you, when I pulled out a quilting square to get the right angle, my teenage son broke out laughing loudly, and the joke was on him when it actually worked. When my project was completed, I sat down on my new bench and I smiled. I pulled out my learning journal and reflected on what I had learned. I recognized the similarities in angles between cutting wood and quilt pieces. It was a connection I'd never made before. The greatest benefit from my experience was the pride I felt. I tried something really crazy and succeeded. I feel this pride weekly. I see the benches and I know that I built them. You know what is even better than that? Listening to my husband tell everyone that I built them. He is proud of my accomplishment as well, even though he probably could have built them in half the time I did. So be sure to challenge yourself and record your experiences. Of course, there will be failures. I've had those too. Here's a great failure for me, building raised garden beds. This nearly sent me into a nervous breakdown. In this experience, I relinquished and I got help. I learned from this experience that it wasn't really a failure, though. I had planned correctly, I had the right pieces, the right parts, and I knew what needed to be done. The problem was, it really needed 2 sets of hands. What about academic challenges? I've tried those too. Have you ever read Carl Sagan? I could say that I have, and it was a journey which took me months. The goal was to read about a few pages a week, and that was all I could get through. And what did I learn? Well, I learned quite a bit, but I admit I'm no Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, but I do have a new appreciation for the galaxy. So try something new. Try something challenging. What is the worst that could really happen?